Hello, once again, Michael L. Dublin Sr., wanting to bring you um, a part of life journey. I started a video series, and the last time I made a video was about 2 weeks ago due to circumstances beyond my control. Part of my life duties and life calling is pastoral. So, traveling and officiating and attending funerals as are things that I've had to do that I really wanted to be able to get back to you earlier. I shared with you in the first video that my series, Learning to Live Now, is really about that. I'm not coming to you looking for this broad audience with thousands upon thousands of people, but I am coming to an audience, how small it is, who really want to examine life, want to examine what it means to live now. So learning to live now, often religious people, certainly Christians, look at going to heaven. But I'm convinced the older that I get and the more that I live, that there is a heaven here that's being missed because we don't know what it means to live. So in this journey, I'm going to be asking you basically some questions. I want to make this clear. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me about anything. That is not the purpose of this. There's enough argumentation, either or dichotomistic thinking in the world today. This is just a man who was born, who grew up without knowing his father, whose mother is deceased and has that father is deceased, previous wife deceased, a 40-year-old daughter deceased, but also having all of this life around me. I've also survived prostate cancer at this point, and there's so much that I've had to deal with, and being a part of the church community has had its tremendous rewards, and it certainly has been sometimes a hell on earth, and dealing with the different personalities, the different levels of maturity, and all of the stuff that you deal with in the church community. Having been married and divorced and widowed and now being married 37 years, I really have gone through and faced a lot. So I'm just talking to you as an ordinary man. Yes, I have a little bit of education. I have a undergrad degree from Shaw University here in Raleigh and in Duke University in Durham. I have my master's, but much of what my learning has come is through experience. And I can't emphasize the value of reading, reading. Most of my reading is in psychiatry, psychology, spirituality, and religion, and certainly my basic faith in Christ Jesus. I study Jesus, but not just for Bible class and stuff like that. I think he's much deeper than that, much deeper than what we really want to acknowledge. One day I was reading in the book of John, and Jesus said that if you accept these words of mine, you will have crossed over from death to life. Oh, and I never can get past that. And First John says the same thing. When you learn to love your brothers and sisters, you pass over from death to life. So passing over from death to life means that most people are dead until you become aware of the fact that you're dead and that your faith and your religion and all of that can have an impact on you if it's real, but not the tradition of just going to church, going to assembly and tithing and those things. Look, I'm not telling anybody not to do them. I'm saying the level of life that Jesus offers, the value of life is greater than the things that we do. Now, I'm calling also upon some of my spiritual growth by learning and reading a lot of different people. So, at the core of my study has been is that most people are unaware. Most people never wake up, and they go through their life never passing over from death to life. And in that journey, and I was in that journey, and so I'm asking you to join me. I'm only sharing what I have learned, and I'm challenging you. I promise you, if you stay with me, I'm going to take you to some places you don't want to go, but that is where you will find some level of life, some level of death. But at the end of it all, you will find more life and more of the pathway out of death into life. Our beliefs from the time we were born shape us. Our beliefs are shaped very, very early on. And in that belief system, it can either keep us awake, it can make us awake, or it can have us sleeping from the time we were born, through kindergarten, through elementary school, high school, college, or anything beyond that, through our marriages and our relationships, through our education, through our jobs, our health, any aspect of life, you sleep all the way through it because our beliefs are shaped so early on and we just simply usually not aware of it. So I'm trying to do all I can to the group that I'm talking to, is just simply take you on a journey and challenge you to see if you are aware of your belief system, because it permeates everything that you do and everything that you are. You have a personality, but your personality is under the control of your mindset, a systematic way of thinking. And you may not know that you've developed this systematic way of thinking, but you have it, and it controls everything that you do. So this set of beliefs will determine everything that you do. I want to encourage you then today to do not be afraid. Don't be afraid to look at whether you're asleep, or whether you're unaware of the system that shapes everything that you do. And also, it will help you to understand why things have worked so well for you. And it will help you to understand why some things just did not work and continuously don't work. We have to develop a system to make sense out of this world. Our brains cannot absorb information that comes at us all the time. It just cannot do that and make sense. So the brain has to categorize systematically, help us to believe certain things. And once we believe them, it guards us from any new beliefs unless we are determined that what we currently believe and where we are currently is not sufficient. That we have to have different and better outcomes in every aspect of our lives. So then that gets us to look at take the opportunity to look at the kind of mindset that we have. Help us to look at whether, number one, we are aware or whether or not we're unaware. Also in the book of John, the story of Jesus encountering a man who had been disabled, and he's lying at a pool for over 30 years. And he asked him, do you want to get well? Do you want to be made whole? Well, thou be made whole. And that's the question that I'm asking you. Do you really want to be made whole? Do you really want to wake up? It's the consensus of many that you just don't want to wake up because, like the man at the pool, it will cause you to take accountability and responsibility. And you won't be able to blame your parents. You won't be able to blame whoever raised you, people of other ethnic groups, class issues, your sports team, your job, your colleagues, your church, or whatever your religious faith is. You will have the opportunity to be awake and to face the person in the mirror. It is the search for life. And that continuously search for life gives us joy. Now, in spite of everything that is going on around us, the floods, the weather, environment heating up, and crazy thing that's going on in politics, sports, food going up, pandemic, suicide issues, mental health issues. In spite of all of that, there's a pathway to say that this all is well with my soul. And not say that in a way that's kind of fluffy, but it really is possible to get up every day, and in spite of all of the challenge, the overall belief is that it is well with my soul. I've encountered health issues and everything else, and I've shared with you death and all of that. But I'm saying those challenges are going to come. That's how life is. Life is not easy. It is difficult. But the more you become aware of how it shapes you and how the forces have shaped you, and the more you become aware of what you're capable of, you'll begin to wake up. And once you wake up and become aware of who you are, your life will change. Because some of the ways that you've been living has caused you to thrive. But there's much more life. And some of you then are trying to survive because you're living out of a mindset. You're living unaware of who you're actually capable of and who you actually are and why you do the things the way that you do and whatever it is that you do. And that's miserable, to be unaware of your own self. Now, it's natural to be unaware of what's going on in the world, but the person in the mirror, to get up every day and not know why you've gotten up, not knowing why you do some of the things that you're going to do, to be so addicted to that caffeine that you're actually saying that this product that's sitting in a cup is going to control you. Now, if that was all the problem we're going to have, I can't make my day without my caffeine, then that would be easy. But to the drug addict, it's different. To the workaholic, it's different. To the sex addict, it's different. And to the persons who are addicted to porn, it's different. To the people who are in so much despair that they still prefer to stay in their bed, even though they're getting up to do all the other things. Life is just hard for some people. There are genuine mental health issues. There's no question about that. There's no question that there are life struggles that are profound for some people. We're not minimizing that. All I'm saying is, though, if you get up by becoming aware, and if you struggle for something bigger than yourself, then you are able to make the best even out of those circumstances. I can't even comprehend what I've seen some people endure. I can't even comprehend what I may yet have to endure. I just simply say that at this stage in my life, I have come to the conclusion that my heaven and my hell start within me. That which is beyond death is another dimension, a whole other dimension of living. But for the time being, I have a lot of life to live, and I've been dead quite a while. So I just want to challenge you to look at what type of mindset do you have? Do you have a growth mindset that says that no matter what you encounter through education, experience, and perseverance, you will not only survive, you will learn to thrive? Or do you have that fixed mindset that said you were born a certain way, and this is how life is, que sera, sera, what will be, and there's nothing that I can do about it? And so you just quit early on and remain unaware of the fact that you're quite capable of living well beyond where you are now. I want to challenge you then to examine so that you can learn how to live now. Truthfully take this journey to examine your belief system. Now, there are idioms that we quote all the time. Have you heard somebody say, or have you heard yourself saying, I'm going to piggyback off that statement? Well, where does that come from? Have you ever thought to ask, where does piggyback actually come from? You say it's not that important, but I'm demonstrating to you how easy it is to just have a thought and never ever examine where that thought came from. But that's a part of your belief system. Take that with a grain of salt. Take that with a pinch of salt. Where does that come from? What is the origin of it? Where did you get it from? All I'm asking you, dear, is to see how things like that can keep you from being able to move ahead. Now, they're not major, but they are part of how your system works. You ever heard of anybody saying they were straddling the fence? How is it possible to straddle a fence? What fence are you talking about? Because normally there's no physical fence there, right? What do you actually mean? Well, you may know what they mean, but the reality is, do they actually know where it came from? Do you know where it came from? And there are other things that telling people I'm under the weather. Well, where did that come from? I guess we're all probably under the weather, whether it's good weather or bad weather. So how did it become bad weather when you say it's under the weather? When you share with somebody and you say the ball is in your court. What ball? What court? How did the ball get in my court? What do you mean? Only using everyday idioms and sayings that allows us to examine, where did I get that from? And what I'm asking you to do, just out of curiosity, just check it out. So the next time somebody said they're going to spill the beans, why are they spilling beans? Why not peas? Why are they spilling anything? It would be interesting that if you don't actually know that already, to take that journey and you begin to feel good. Everything that I'm talking about is not about going deep to the point that you find all of these skeletons and you don't want to deal with them. That's not what I'm talking about. But I am talking about explore the possibilities, explore who you are, how you have become, who you've become, and why you keep getting the same results in your life. Are you a person that everybody can trust? I haven't always been trustworthy, but I realize the power of what it means to be in relationships and not be trustworthy. Now, I've never been a person that thought that was okay. I've always thought it was wrong, and I value trustworthiness, and I want to be the best friend that I can be to a person. But where did that come from? And I've learned that as maybe junior high school, I had some issues with girlfriends, and I took on some beliefs early on that I just do not trust people. And let me confess, early on, that I just didn't trust a woman. And throughout my life, it was confirmed. But I also confirmed it because I never gave them the chance to be trustworthy. But then there are some human beings who are not trustworthy, just like I have not been. But a part of my personality, but a part of my experience, rather, and my mindset helped me to then be aware of the fact they are human, I'm human. Where did I get these expectations from? Well, it came from childhood. Much of what happens to us comes out of our childhood. And it becomes so much a part of us, we can actually walk around and self-sabotage relationships, self-sabotage our careers, and we have not become aware of the fact that what somebody said or did maybe one time when you were a child is what you're functioning out of, and you never had the courage and never knew the pathway, even in your religion. And you talked about God is good, but you did not understand that the goodness of God is leading you to true life. So that in this world, although you will have tribulation, you will overcome it. And so you'll have the power of some heavenly living while you're here. So let me get a little bit more in depth about the growth set of this fixed mindset. Imagine yourself getting a C on a grade and you had studied and you look forward to getting an A. You always wanted to come home with an A, but you only got a C. And imagine going home feeling distraught that you was worthless. It's the end of your life. And while you were on your way home, you were run into somebody who said something nasty to you. And by the time you got home, other people that had bad experiences. So that night before you went to bed, the only way you could see your day is that you're the worst person in the world. You can't do anything good. You can't do anything right. Nobody likes you. That's what's called a fixed mindset. You see yourself negative. I'm not talking about this happens occasionally. I'm talking about this is the way you think using any other incident. That's a fixed mindset, that I can't do anything about my situation. I can't do anything about the person that I am. And, que sera, sera, what will be, will be. So I don't have to value myself. I don't mind doing drugs. I don't mind not getting a job. And sexually, I do all kind of stuff because I don't matter. So this is a way that I would just cope. And what difference does it actually make? Because there's no value to me. And then there is the also growth mindset that goes through the same scenario but says, I knew I needed to study harder, and I've got to study hard, but that C doesn't determine me because I've always had different grades, and I'm going to get this grade up. And if I don't, I'm still going to be all right. I'm not defined by that grade. I'm not defined by performance. Even if other people think so, and they're telling me I'm an A student and B student, I'm going to be confident within myself that my life isn't based on a midterm grade. It's not based on any of those other things. It's based on me learning now how to raise my grade up and be comfortable if that's the best that I can do with that particular subject. And on the way home, if somebody says something to me ugly, people do that. I've said ugly things to people, but it's now said and it's now done. What am I going to do? I'm going home. And I get home, people have had a bad day too. So when I get ready to go to bed at night, I think about I have to have a plan for how I'm going to study more and how I'm going to get this right. And I'm not going to let anybody else's bad day and bad time determine who I am. They had a bad day, I had one, but it's been a good day anyway because I'm still alive and I have something to prove. So I'm gonna get some sleep tonight and I'm gonna let that stuff go. I'm going to forgive everybody, including myself, and now I'm going to get some sleep. You can do that. You just have to be aware of who you are and desire enough to do it. So if you want to wake up in the morning, if you want to do things a little different, let me ask you to take this challenge. Here's a challenge. If you want to know whether or not you're awake, whether you're living, and if you want to know about your mindset, I'm going to take you back to your home. Who raised you? What did they teach you specifically about conflict? What did they teach you about anger? What did they teach you about sexuality? What did they teach you about your gender, your ethnicity, your color, your race? What did they teach you about politics, about your faith, your religion? And I'm asking you to be very, very specific. Now, sometimes these questions can be too much for you to bear. Only answer the questions you can wrestle with, but also know that they are part of you either have a fixed mindset that says you can't succeed or you have a growth mindset because it started early on, very early on. And once that started early on, you either had an uphill flight to success or an uphill fight just to stay alive. These things are important. Now, I'm not a therapist. I read a lot of psychology, psychiatry, and I'm deeply into the teachings of Jesus. And I actually listen to and read other religious philosophers and leaders. But at my core, I am Jesus, man, because it's so in depth that what he teaches about life. So I'm not telling you it's necessarily going to be a pleasant journey. The question becomes, are you aware of how unaware you are? And are you aware of the mindset that you've developed? And are you aware of the fact that your mindset can either be a growth mindset or a fixed mindset? Because all the days of your life, you want to learn to live now. You want to learn to live now. So I want to take you back to your family. Who are your brothers and sisters? Now, in this particular case, I'm asking you this for a reason. Who named them and who are your cousins? What relationship do you have with them? Who in your family, mother, father, brothers, sisters, uncles, and aunts, would you like to just knock out today if you could, just knock them out? Now, you don't want them to stay out, but they have gotten on your nerve at some point in the past so bad that that's all you wanted to do. And which one of them would want to knock you out? That you've gotten on their nerves so bad that that's what they would want to do. So to become aware of who you are and how life shapes you, are you functioning at age 40, 50, and 60 out of how you were treated and who you were, the suffering, the pain, the joy, the happiness of your childhood? Or have you begun to be an adult? Do you want to see things differently? Do you want to be a person who does not get their hand caught in the cookie jar and deny that they're doing anything? So when you were sneaking around stealing the cookies or whatever you could when you were a child, are you now doing that? with other people and other relationships? Are you failing to take accountability? Because if you don't realize that what worked or didn't work in your childhood does not define all of your life. If you want to pass over from death to life, then you have to examine those things. So whatever your family did or did not do, what type of family have you developed? Have you raised? How energetic and enthusiastic are you about sending them to school, about their relationship with God Almighty, about sexuality? What have you taught them, and are you able then to teach them those things? What about ethnicity and gender? And when you see injustice, what have you taught them about their role and their responsibility? And not only that, their opportunities. What have you taught them? Because the things that you were taught that worked well and the things you didn't like, your adulthood has been your opportunity to get it better, to do it differently. But you have to be aware of the fact that there are some things that need to be changed. And you also have to be aware of the fact that you may have developed a mindset that does not allow you to pass on a growth mindset. So a generation ago, you may have had a fixed mindset given to you, and you may have passed that on. So if you want to be aware then of who you are, how